Moloch was of course the centerpiece of the display. He wore Terminator armor of the old Tartarus configuration, which made him massive even amid the rest of that heavily armored company. Whereas Valoris was a picture of grizzled splendor, and Garadon carried himself with a plain kind of martial dignity, Moloch looked like some barbarian warlord out of the legends of pre-unification Terra. His plate was clearly of the highest quality, but had been engineered with a feral aesthetic, one that conjured up images of sacrificial rites and arcane combat rituals. To look at him was to catch a glimpse of a world of riddles and myths, of burning braziers and blooded axe heads, of secrets locked within secrets, bound about with labyrinths of iron and stone. I have encountered many formidable warriors in my time. Valoris, of course, was reckoned the greatest alive in the Imperium, save the Primarch himself. And yet, just there, in that place, I can say without hesitation that Astarion Moloch, Chapter Master of the Minotaurs, exuded the most powerful stench of violence I had ever been in the presence of. The Adeptus Astartes are led by the most fearsome, cunning, and revered Space Marines. Paragons of resilience, wrath, and judgment, each chapter master of the Imperium shoulders the burden of leading their respective chapters into war zones of untold misery and carnage. Yet whilst many of these warriors are regaled as heroes, some are more clandestine in nature, despite fragments of their deeds spoken in hushed tones across the Imperium. For today, we shall elucidate the near-mythical chapter master, said to be among the most deadly of Astartes ever to wage war in the name of the Emperor. The mysterious leader of the Minotaur's chapter, Astarion Moloch. Among the Adeptus Astartes, there are few chapters that have earned a reputation alike to the Minotaurs. Brutal in their methods of waging war, this mysterious chapter intervenes in only the most politically charged events of infighting the Imperium is prone to endure. Said to be crafted from traitor gene seed, supposedly derived from the 4th Legion of the Legiones Astartes, the Iron Warriors. Whatever their progeny may be, they have become synonymous as the enforcers of the will of the High Lords of Terra. Experts of attritional and siege warfare, the Minotaurs would be founded during the so-called cursed 21st founding during the 36th millennium and roam the galaxy as a fleet-based chapter. Enigmatic in their dealings with fellow Space Marine chapters, the Minotaurs' records are kept censured and sealed within the most heavily guarded and encrypted vaults of Imperial records. To the point that even inquisitorial agents do not have sufficient authority to observe them. Even their title has been scrutinized by Imperial historians for centuries due to the multiple accounts of chapters bearing the same name, yet not sharing their appearance nor deeds. Whatever the case may be, the Minotaur's chapter has become a cause of great concern for members of the Adeptus Astartes, Ordo Hereticus, and even Adeptus Custodes due to their seemingly unrestrained circumvention of imperial hierarchies and bureaucratic red tape. Emboldened by their favor of the most powerful individuals of the Administratum, it would take a figure of only the most imposing and menacing stature to lead such a band of aloof warriors, now shunned by venerated chapters such as the Ultramarines and their successors. A leader said to be among the most terrifying soldiers the Imperium has ever created. Earning such titles as the Spear of Judgment and Bringer of Wrath, despite the Minotaur chapter's enigmatic presence, there is no shred of mystery regarding the reputation of their overlord. A supremely paranoid yet dutiful leader, Astarion Moloch is a truly gargantuan figure clad in his panoply of war. Wielding the mighty Black Spear, a relic said to originate from the armaments of the Legio Custodes of old, Moloch pairs such a legendary weapon with a gigantic storm shield marked with archaic Terran glyphs of long-forgotten significance. Clad in an ornate suit of Tartarus pattern technical dreadnought armor, this advanced pattern of Terminator armor provides greater mobility than standard patterns, whilst retaining its immense durability and protection. A brutally efficient commander, with a proclivity to unleash his forces with the intent of causing needless destruction, whilst accomplishing their objectives. Unwilling to accept advisements or counsel from allies during cooperative campaigns with other Imperial forces, Moloch shall dispatch his trusted advisor, Chaplain Ivarnus Enkomi, as his representative during war councils. Said to have skulked the battlefields of the Badab War during the secession of the Astral Claws chapter and their allies during the 41st millennium, it is unclear if Moloch's presence is merely rumour. Yet with the Minotaur's chapter's intervention of the Orphean War against the Necron dynasty of Maynarch, it is clear that Moloch would lead his chapter in the defense of the region of Amara Prime alongside the Death Corps of Krieg. Facing the Necron Nemesis, Kutlak, Asterion would injure the Overlord aboard his flagship, Dead Hand. Coming close to ending the Maynarch dynasty in that moment, the Necrons would retreat from the battle to preserve their wounded pride and dignity. For while the system would inevitably fall into ruin following the destruction wrought by the Necrons, Moloch had proven once again that his strength was superior to even the ancient Xenos so assured in their supremacy despite their clear failures. Yet Moloch's deeds would take a darker turn as the prestige of the Minotaur's chapter grew. Famed for his victory against the Necron overlord Kutlak, Moloch would also slay several Orc war bosses, Corsair princes, and greater demons of chaos. Now a byword for slaughter and bloodshed, the Minotaur's chapter and their fell commander would begin to gain a reputation as experts of slaying their fellow Astartes. Whispers would circulate Imperial administrational branches that the chapter had on several occasions executed dissenting and wayward Space Marine chapters. Evidence, though scant, clearly states that Asterion Moloch has slain several renegade Adeptus Astartes chapter masters, though to which chapter they can be attributed as once commanding has been censured from Imperial records. Their intervention during the Badab War, demonstrating their skill at utterly destroying any chapter deemed traitorous in the eyes of the Imperium. Utterly devastating the Lamentor's chapter in the span of only 17 solar hours during the Battle of Optera 5, the Minotaurs would use such opportunities to fight their kin as a true test of their martial prowess. Wreaking untold losses on both sides of the conflict, the Minotaur's resolve would nonetheless force the Lamentors to surrender should their chapter not be expunged from history as ignominious traitors to the throne. Present during the defense of the Lion's Gate of Terror from demonic invasion, the Minotaurs and their leader would aid the Imperial forces, bolstered by the venerable Space Marine Primogenitor, the Imperial Fists, and the Emperor's finest warriors, the Adeptus Custodes. Said to have escaped an assault led by the Death Guard Legion, in truth, the Minotaurs would be summoned by the so-called Hexarchy of the High Lords of Terror, seeking to depose the rule and strictures of the returned avenging son of the Imperium, Rebute Guilliman. Showing contempt and disregard for the Imperial Fist chapter and their leader, Tor Garadon, the Minotaurs would, despite their efficacy in combating the threat posed to the Imperial Palace, cause immense tension among the ranks of the Praetorians of Terror. The representatives of the Imperial Fists, Lieutenant of the 3rd Company, Haisler, and Minotaur Astartes known as Zojek, would brawl during their meeting to coordinate their forces, with only the intervention of the custodian, Oenas, able to prevent further bloodshed. The instrument of the will of the High Lords, Asterion and his men would conduct scorched earth tactics to purge Terra of its insidious chaos cultist elements until the coup of the High Lords would be enacted. Tor Garadon, Trajan Valoris, and their men would confront the usurper of the rule of the Ultramarines Primarch, Erfihemetalion, the master of the Administratum. Allying himself with both deposed and serving members of the High Lords of Terror, including the Grand Master of the Assassinorum, Fadix, the Minotaurs would stand ready to combat the Imperial Fists and Custodes should the command be given. Yet Fadix's alliance would be a ruse, and with his intent revealed, he would unleash a dozen members of the Clades of the Kalidus and Vindicare temples, ending the treachery of the conspirators. Yet the intent of Asterion Moloch would be unknown. As the coup collapsed, Asterion and his men would stand ready to fight the defenders of the throne. Yet with the intervention of the new master of the Administratum, Violetta Rascavla, the Minotaurs would stand down from the conflict and leave only a reminder of their menace upon Terra. Those who witness their fury relieve that such ruin shall be unleashed against the enemies of the Imperium, far away from its throne world. While infamous for his deeds, there nonetheless remains much of Asterion Moloch's legacy that confounds Imperial scholars. Said to be fatally wounded during the battle against the Necron overlord, Kutlak, Moloch's body would be cast into the void of space with the conclusion of his battle, and be recorded as killed in action by his chapter. Despite such records being recovered from astute scholars of the Imperium, 6 other instances of the death of Asterion Moloch have been accrued from the past 5 centuries of the chapter's after-action reports. A possible reason for Asterion's noted inactivity for several periods of time could be a result of his immense cybernetic implantations said to reconstruct his physique. Rumors persist that Asterion Moloch is not a singular space marine, but rather an engrammatically infused conglomeration of past memories, experiences, and personalities inherited from the slain chapter masters of the Minotaur's chapter. Such heretical assertions bear no evidence, yet would explain the lapses in the chapter's records of their master. Should such technologies be employed, only the most forbidden artifacts of humanity's dark past would prove capable of such procedures, though where such archaeotech would be found remains purely as conjecture. For the rivals and enemies of the Minotaurs continue to grow, and such claims may be the result of bitter detractors constructing falsities to besmirch the chapter as a result of their deeds of merciless slaughter. Upon his brazen throne within the labyrinthine chambers of the Minotaur's assault carrier, Daedalus Crater, Asterion's spite fuels his chapter's campaigns of eradication across the stars. Leading his men at the forefront of battle, there are seldom few chapters of the Imperium more harrowing to face in battle. For the bringer of wrath and harbinger of ruin shall never relent in his merciless purge of the wicked of the Imperium. Whether they profess to be followers of chaos or loyal to the Imperium in their cause, should the judgment of the Master of Minotaurs be required, the only choice given to his foes shall be death or surrender. The ranks of the Militarum troops parted, and the Minotaurs made their way to the forefront. There were 30 of them, with no doubt more making their way from the positions further down the long aisles. They carried themselves like executioners, stalking deliberately, bolters trained on us, power weapons crackling. Once they were in position, just a few meters from the first steps up to the podium, they too halted. They formed up in 2 lines, spread out before us, leaving a gap between to allow their master to emerge. Moloch wore his Tartarus armor, as ever the bronze of it near black, its ornate surface engraved with runes and esoteric patterns. His footfalls were purposefully heavy, sending spiderwebs of cracks across the damaged stone. He carried a power spear of a similar pattern to ours, though it was darker and older than any I had borne. His red cloak hung from molten lead across his angular shoulders, and he carried a circular shield with symbols engraved on it that I could not decipher. I watched him approach, trying to ascertain some weakness, some flaw that I could use against him. I detected nothing. He may as well have been an automaton, a battle creation forged in some dark and forgotten laboratory and sent into the world of the living. Who could have halted such a monster? Valoris, in all probability. Guilliman, without a doubt. Beyond that, and as for myself, I felt no certainty. I took a step forward, moving between Moloch and Faddix, angling the tip of my spear towards the oncoming chapter master. "No further," I commanded, gripping the stave tight with both hands. Moloch always wore his mask. I had never seen him without it. I picked up nothing behind that metallic visage, nothing at all, except maybe that furnace aura of aggression he always projected, smouldering deep within the rune-guarded heart of ceramite and sinew. He kept coming. He carried his spear formally, as if it were some kind of sacrificial totem, a curse-warded instrument for the ritual killing of beasts. The lenses in his archaic helm were black, and to look into them felt like looking into the void itself. There was a swagger in his every movement, a rolling, baleful demonstration of pure contempt. "No further," I warned again, tensing to strike. The moment he took a step onto the podium of stairs, I would move. To this day, I do not know what would have happened if he had done so. I suffer neither from doubt nor from pride, and so can only speculate from the evidence I had before me. Perhaps I would have found a way. I had felled some of the greatest warriors of the enemy in my time, including many who most certainly had possessed the power to best me. But with Moloch, I cannot be sure. We were only prevented from coming together in combat by the sudden spit and crackle of a single teleport column streaking down from the cathedral's ruined heights. The ether vortex locked onto the Rathavian's lock signal, crashing into the nave's tortured floor, splashing against the flags of the podium and boiling away. As I felt the rush of sudden cold and saw the white-silver energy reflect in Moloch's burnished plate, I thought for a moment that Valoris had come, or perhaps Garradon, bringing with him the reinforcements we needed to fight our way out. I was to be disappointed. Instead, a single figure emerged from the guttering warp flame to stand by my side. It was a woman, clad in protective gear for the ether translation, but otherwise unharmed. I knew her only by sight. Violetta Roskavla, one of the two who had claimed ownership of the title of Master of the Administratum. Except that her rival was now dead, extinguished by an assassin's bullet, removing all possible doubt as to her legitimacy. She said nothing to me. She said nothing to anyone else. In front of all those thousands of fighters, in front of the assembled Space Marines, any one of which could have ended her with a single shot, she walked steadily down the steps. She came up to Moloch, looking less than a child before his colossal frame. I saw her hold up the icon of her office, the sigil of beaten iron borne by its holders since the dawn of the Imperial Age, but otherwise no gesture. Moloch let her approach. He waited for her, as if suddenly subject to some hex or enchantment, his mighty limbs bound by unseen forces. When she lifted herself to speak into his ear, he bent down to allow her, so that the words passed between them unheard by any other soul in that place. Having spoken, Roskavla then withdrew from him, walking back up the steps to join us again. Moloch straightened. He looked at me, and then at Vardix. Silence reigned across the entire cavernous space, unbroken and complete. Then, slowly, he turned away. He trudged back to the way he had come, his cloak flickering around his ankles, and his warriors followed him. I watched them all go. The whole time, I never loosed the grip on my spear. This has been a tale of the Great Imperium of Man, read by The Remembrancer. Asterion Moloch's campaigns of ruination continue to ravage the enemies of the Imperium across the galaxy. Yet take heart that his fury shall never cast a shadow upon your door. Only the most heinous shall incur the Emperor's wrath and judgment of the Minotaurs. And should you remain true to the Master of Mankind's vision of a united Imperium, you shall never witness the visage of the brazen warlord, nor incur the terrible bite of the Black Spear.